At least I get facial recognition. This thing boots up so fast. Except the time's wrong. You guys figured that out, right? And somewhere I saved that. Today, August 12th?
Sure is. All day cool.
A little bit, you have to say that.
A little bit.
All right, it is 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting of the Morrison City Council to order. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Mahaffey. Schlegel.
Here.
Tervelt.
Here.
Tickler.
Here.
West.
Here.
Zeidemann.
Here.
Stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a question.
Yeah.
May I ask? I wonder why we can't have the packet that we're talking about on the TV screen.
We can, and many times I do.
Um,
Yes, I can get it on here.
Well, you know, like when we're talking about something, if you could just
Yes,
push that up.
okay.
there.
Thank you. Thank you. Public hearing on the grant application for the playground project is postponed. The presenter has tested positive for COVID, so out of an abundance of caution, he is not here. We do have public hearing for the sign variance for the Tractor Supply Company. Do we have a presentation on that or not? No.
Not really.
Okay.
There's something within the ordinance that shows pictures and stuff like that.
Right.
I could clarify one thing, just
Okay,
because of the process. So the ordinance requires the planning and zoning to have its public hearing and consider the sign variance and then make their recommendation to the council. We tried that. We thought we had a majority of the quorum for the planning and zoning meeting committed to the meeting, so we set it, everything's good. We get to the meeting to have the public hearing, and we didn't have quorum. Because this is a fairly time-sensitive issue, and they want to get going on the sign, I talked to our legal counsel and explained that this is a process we would have to go through, just simply have this yet again, this public hearing. We did have the public hearing, even though we didn't have quorum, and there was nobody there for it at the planning and zoning meeting. But then he said he would just construct the ordinance as he did, and have this public hearing again at the city council meeting. And as long as we obtain a 2/3 vote of the full council, we would be good to go. Of the full council. So basically, if anybody votes no, because Sedon is not here, the sign variance would fail. So it is a sign variance. I'll just give a few comments about it. It's a sign variance for the new Tractor Supply Company store. It's outside of our ordinance. I'll say a little bit. It's about, in total, the sign is about 10 feet higher and a little larger square footage. And then there's two signs on the front of the building where our ordinance only requires one, but because of the regular store sign and then the garden center sign that they put on the front, that technically makes it in violation of our ordinance, thereby requiring a variance to change that. Nothing is out of line here. It is their stock their status quo signage. I don't even know that anyone would notice the 10 feet different in height because of where the sign will be situated in along Route 30. So
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak regarding the signage?
I sat in planning and zoning, 5-star, applied for their sign on the other side of the road. Mr. Slavin was in charge then. He said that was the legal limit for their sign, and there was to be no other sign bigger than that posted. So I know 5-star went through quite an ordeal to finally get some approval for it.
Consideration?
Was he referring to the ordinance, do you know, Vern?
Because that was city limits and
Well, we apply to them as well, right? If the ordinance is changed or larger signs are allowed, then they can put up a sign.
Is that how it works, or is it?
They could apply for a variance.
they could apply for a variance as Tractor Supply did. I don't know that they did or didn't. That was way before my time, but
Same here.
this is following the legal process and though I can't speak officially from the planning and zoning, but those present certainly didn't have any issue with it.
Okay, so we're not changing the ordinance, we're
Correct.
considering
A variance, yes, yes.
And you're saying this is this size is standard on all stores? Yes.
And we all have the same three.
Yeah.
The only concern that I have regarding the position of the signage is making sure that it's not right in the batter's eye. Somebody at the plate of field number 3 there. Just because when you're at the plate, you're gonna be looking straight into Tractor Supply. And that would be my only concern, is making sure the light doesn't take away from, interfere with what you can see.
I think the sign is internally illuminated, right?
There's only one internally illuminated one, and that's the garden center sign, it's in the far corner. So you have the Tractor Supply Company, and then another building's provided it, that's the one that has the garden sign. That one's internally illuminated. The other one is not illuminated at all, it's just a big can. And then the pylon sign up front is externally illuminated. So they're pointing from inward up toward it, so it's actually go down.
it will be. From now on, anybody that wants to get a sign will be able to get one that big. But we're setting
No, that's why it's a variance.
Hey, you do it once and it's gonna.
I mean, Harvey, you're
Point
saying it'll
taken.
be hard to say no to the next
Yes.
person, is what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing a business in, that's fine.
I remember a time when I sat in the first meeting, there, it was to be a
Yeah.
one-sided sign only, and then they made it a two-sided sign also.
I would appreciate it if we didn't have a conversation besides. the
Oh, I'm
speaker.
We're gonna get to the, as Alderman Cruz suggested, we're going to get to the packet and we're gonna display it. It's okay. This is a public hearing. There's a sign-in sheet. Luke, sorry, if you don't mind. We have to prove that we followed all the rules.
Change that 1 to 30. Wow, is there internet?
Luke, did you sign in?
Sorry.
Yeah, you have.
This
to
is a
at the
public hearing. There's a public hearing sign in.
Yeah, everybody
Everybody
has
in the
to.
room should sign in, just to prove that we followed the public hearing rules. Appreciate that. Is it still out there, the public hearing sign?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, where are your pages?
Yeah, I don't know, this.
The count is correct.
And there's several.
It's okay,
I'm up, so I'm staying here.
not a problem. 105.
I don't know what necessarily you want to see, but
That drawing is in there, isn't it?
What do you looking
Oh,
for?
yeah. There we go.
There.
the A, B, and P are the placements of the signs. If you can see them.
The 3 red circles.
Yeah.
And so the concern is that one baseball diamond, yeah? Yeah.
So the sign on the building is the one that you're concerned about, the
The
light?
light location of it, described it. No, I'm not.
And then the other one on pedestal. What's that gonna look like?
There.
Any pictures of that?
There's a big guy. That faces the highway, right?
On both sides.
So how high in the air is that? I can't read.
The top is 30 feet. 18 feet wide. So it's about the size, a little higher than a 2-story house.
Well, they certainly want to have one up that high and that big, because of the traffic, people trying to find the place. Everybody has signs like that there.
You got a sign, 13 feet, 30 feet in the air? No. What's town ordinance for signage, how high?
Farm and fleet. Menard.
Right around 20,
Cause you got,
I think.
you got McDonald's and all your gas stations are required to keep it lower. Somebody else comes along and says, well, I want a 30-foot sign now.
Would this even be a question in front of the council if we didn't extend our boundaries out to them?
No, we annex the land. They're in the
We
city.
annex the land.
Yep, they're in the
We
city.
annex the land.
Yep.
So now,
So it'd be pretty weird to thumbs up and annex the land and then say no on the sign.
yeah. I think so.
That's just throwing it out there.
Good conversation.
I don't know if this pertains to this, but is IDOT gonna put in a 3rd lane up there?
No,
I've got a million people, no, not quite that many, but lots of people are complaining about that.
I've already expressed that concern to the regional director or the regional engineer for IDOT. They received an access permit from IDOT, and IDOT did not require them
A 3rd lane.
a 3rd lane for turning.
I don't know if anybody is opposed to it.
Well, again, this is the public hearing. It's not, there will be an opportunity for action later in the meeting. Is there any other comment from the public? Otherwise, I will declare the public hearing closed. And it is closed. Did anybody sign in for public comment? Are there any other presentations? Otherwise, we will go to city officers. Nathan prepared a 2-page report at the beginning of your packet. Do you wish to elaborate on that?
No, I think that's everything. I saw.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer is here. We don't have the report yet. No, okay. Do you have anything else to add? All right, chief.
Just a few things, Mayor. We did get some new cameras installed at City Hall. better security, staff really likes most stickers. Preparing for the fair, obviously starts tomorrow. We got everything going for that, that's gonna be a long week. And, my squad truck has arrived from Des Moines, sitting in the parking lot, if anybody wants to check it out. It's gonna be a little while before I can get it outfitted, just waiting on equipment. Feel free to stop by and show it. Happy to show you guys. That's about it.
All right. The consent agenda has 5 items: minutes, bills payable, P and Z, street closure, and parade request. Does anyone wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the 5 items of the consent agenda. It's been moved and seconded. The consent agenda is on the floor. Is there any further discussion, questions, comments? If not, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travelt,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Sideman,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. So now is the time for action on the ordinance for the sign variance for Tractor Supply Company. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 24-06?
So moved. Second.
It's on the floor, the motion. Is there any further discussion, comments, questions? All right, since we do need 5.3 votes, which means 6 of you, I suggest we take this vote by roll call as well. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travelt,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Sideman,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your working
Thank you
through the
for your,
process with us.
And your repeated visits.
We like following rules. It helps everybody.
Drive safely, please.
Thank you very much. You guys have a pleasant night.
You too.
Starting on your page, 54 would be the contract to replace the air conditioning units on the top of City Hall. It's been exposed to you before that they are however many years old they are. 22 years old according to the notes. And we have quotes. You have that there?
Yes.
Okay, so BPI, did we get a quote from Workman or not?
Yes.
Okay. Or an email? We got 2, okay,
Fancy.
thank you,
That's fancy.
good job. And, I'm getting it up in front of me too. Is there a serious price difference? I'm sorry, I did not.
Brian's is $17,040. If I can,
amended one?
no,
One I have is 13,009.
plus the material, labor and the crane service.
It's 15,700.
Yep, 17,040
And here's 18,345.
and Workman's is 18,345. It's fairly apples to apples. Point of information, we've long had a very positive working relationship with Workman's. They've done everything to date with our buildings. Not sure about the sewer plant, but they've always done City Hall. They've been good to us. We haven't done a lot of work with BPI brands. So not much more I can provide you.
Timeline's the same.
Timeline's the same. Products fairly the same.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the work bid. Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to accept the bid from Workman. Are there any questions or further comments, discussion? Hearing none, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travelt,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Sitema,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, electrical service at sports complex. We have we don't have a document on that. do we?
No, we do not.
Okay. Would you, then I'll ask the city administrator to describe what the proposed action is.
So as I explained in my report, we've been considering electric service for quite a while out at the sports complex. I understand now that back when the original sports complex plans, there were extensions built into the plan to extend for future expansion and use out towards the parking lot, but for whatever reason, they took it back out. So the idea had always been there in the past. We now have, and will perhaps have future demand in this area for electrical from the jumping pillow. And it'd be really nice. I've received many comments about having electricity in the Lions shelter right there off the parking lot. I tried to go at this two different ways, to go directly to ComEd for a new business account. That seemed very challenging, and as it will turn out to be probably more expensive. Even though I did not get a specific quote for that. I talked to Randy Nelson, who built the electric infrastructure on that sports complex, except for putting up the muscle lighting. But he did all the wiring infrastructure there. He knows that sports complex as good as anyone else. We have two options, really. We could just put in I'm gonna simplify things here because I'm not an electrical expert. I'm just gonna simplify things. We could put a switch on the Field 2 scoreboard and just run 110 wire over to the jumping pillow. Or we could bore conduit and wire out there, put a smaller transformer with a 100 amp panel, which would include electricity for the shelter, for future use for the playground, such as a light and maybe some deterrent type video there, just to be able to monitor that area in case something, vandalism, whatever may happen there. And then of course, run a line over to the jumping pillow. This would include boring. And that quote came from Alvarado's for $9,500. And then the remaining portion of that 24,250 was Randy Nelson's work to run the wire. We would run it off the main panel there between fields 1 and 2 and bore it out there.
And how much would it be just to tie off of the scoreboard?
Much less. He didn't give me an exact count because, to be honest with you, I was more interested in doing it right the first time and not just piggybacking off a scoreboard.
Well, so if we look at the difference between the two, trying to get the pillow, but the added benefit, which we'll say will cost us about 20,000 more, maybe 22.
That's fair. Yeah, probably.
Is to have electrical at the Lions shelter and a camera on, which I don't know if we have a lot of big problems with vandalism of our playground areas, but that to me isn't worth 20,000 to film our kids playing. But I just, that's a lot of money. I mean, do we have electrical at the Kiwanis one? Do we have electrical at Waterworks? Do we have electrical at these other? It just seems like it's a lot of money when the main purpose is to get electrical to this pillow thing, to just electrify a shelter. I don't know, 22,000 bucks for that. Seems like a lot to me.
It's quite the project. It is because there's a lot of underlying conduit there already, and so they have to go a little deeper. Randy said he was gonna go about 7 or 8 feet down and then across, just because he knows of the, I won't use the terms he used, but all the wiring underneath the,
It just doesn't seem like a huge benefit to me or a sense of urgency for any of those electrifying things. It's not like a super important priority. I would think for the city to spend, in essence, 22,000 more to electrify a shelter.
I've got a daughter that lives in Florida, and they've had these air pillows. They wound up not only putting in lighting up, they wound up fencing it because there was a lot of after-hour activity.
Mhm.
I just talked to her, and I talked to Greg about 2 months ago. They're taken out because of the vandalism.
Sorry to hear that.
Do they have cameras?
Yes.
Now,
Right adjacent to where she's in school.
so would the camera be for the pillow thing too?
I'm a former law
Yeah.
enforcement officer.
Oh, I know.
love cameras and
I know
video.
you do. God, you do.
And lighting is great too,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
I'm for
I
it
love
all.
anonymity, but
Yeah.
After the skating rink got vandalized last year, I thought they put up cameras after that. They didn't have cameras up. And I thought, yeah, I've been thinking with this pillow, it would be nice to have a camera out there because there is potential. Kids or
I
something.
could see the pillow way more than the playground.
I like the light stand out there.
Depends what they're timed in. And what's going on that evening,
They'll be on all night now.
and
Probably 9 or 10. 10.
I don't think, you know, like your comment, Josh, I don't think 20 grand is that much for electricity out there. If we're gonna do it, I think we should do it the right way for future and, you know, then we're not hamstrung, then we're not coming back to the same issue. I mean, it's 20 grand in today's world with contractors, that's not a lot of money.
This is a
Quite a bit
this is a
to
young
me.
kid talking.
Yeah.
He hasn't gone through life. Yeah.
Have you hired a contractor lately? They're not cheap.
yeah.
Yeah, don't do it.
That's why I'm here.
I would have to go along with the idea that we don't really know what the result of this pillow thing is gonna be anyway. So it seems to be unnecessary or premature that we should do this project right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get a bill for free.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
pillows for us, so
we have to use electricity.
Not just
No matter
free.
which way you do it.
Yeah, but there was.
we will be putting a fence up. We will be doing overhead lighting,
Well, I mean,
cameras.
Well, there was nothing about that before when we discussed this. It was just a line of electricity to the pillow and that's it. Now it's about $20-some thousand. I would say at least we should table this idea.
Well, we have to do electricity either way. He's given us 2 different options at the time. Whether we want to get electricity over there on an inexpensive option, or do it the right way and be able to. What's gonna happen is we do the inexpensive option, and in 5-10 years, if they would have run power to the area for anything else, then we're gonna have to go back and do this and so cost.
Oh, yeah, but that's speculative.
I think Bird's point is swayed me a bit about the pillow more so than the camera on the child playground. But if the camera on the pillow would maybe allow us to not have to put up a fence, for example, then that makes more sense.
Technically, we do not have a motion on the table for discussion, so is there a motion to award the bid to Randy Nelson, $24,250 for extension of electrical services at the sports complex? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Now it is on the table and it is open for as much further discussion as the council wishes.
Mayor, Brian, is there any other uses we would have for running electrical out there in the future? Are there any other plans that I'm not thinking of that would benefit? Or-
Well, I would speculate, and that's all it is, speculate that that shelter would be used more during events out there. People are there for day-long tournaments, thank you. It would be, it'd be a great service to the community and to that shelter. They have electricity there in itself.
Well,
I
is
think
that
you'd see a
why-
lot more use there.
And is that why they have, like, that movie in the park or other stuff back by the
Yeah.
football field because of the electricity out there?
Hmm.
Where, I mean, now you have two options.
Yeah.
I would suggest lighting and security, but that's already been discussed, so. Any further questions or discussions? If not, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
No,
Schlegel,
Yes.
Gravel,
No.
Pickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Sideman,
No.
4-3.
Passes 4-3. Items 5 and 6, we will remove from tonight's agenda. We didn't get the document we wanted to expose to the council regarding the water tank maintenance. It's been exposed to you 2 or 3 times, and we will have a proper document shortly. I hope the next council meeting, yes?
Yes.
Okay, discussion and information only, workshop next Monday, 4 PM here. Food provided.
Hey, can I touch on that?
Please.
What I handed out to you is kind of an agenda for the meeting. Please take some time and review that. On the last page and a half, 4 and 5, are some questions for you to at least consider. You don't have to fill that out or answer the questions, but just come to the meeting with those in mind, because they'll be asked at the meeting. So I'm giving you homework in a sense, yes. Like Mayor said, 4 o'clock next Monday here. Dinner will be about 6 o'clock from Candlelight Inn. So
so Chicken George or.
different varieties
Or
of
chicken,
George.
yeah.
There'll be a couple different chicken Georges here. So, yeah, it's an important evening, but it should be, I hope, somewhat productive and a little enjoyable, you know? We could have a little fun while we're here, so. Yeah, we could. But this is, you know, whether you agree with it totally, this is a big deal. This is important to our community. And I know each of you will take it seriously and give it its due attention and effort because it's important. So thank you for your cooperation and your tolerance thus far.
Recorded in minutes,
Yeah, do we have to minute that or?
and are we recording it
They will be.
Okay, they will.
for the website, or do we have to publish that it's available?
Yeah.
I'll check on
As
that.
an open meeting?
It's not an open meeting. It's a workshop. It's not a public meeting. It's a workshop.
Okay.
It's not a council meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a meeting where the council has to be, right?
Yeah, but
All
we're
right.
3.
Do you want to expose the idea of a code enforcement officer?
Yeah, this is just throwing it out there as a friend of mine and I use the term spitballing. But the chief and I have been talking for some time about a code enforcement officer. Perhaps starting out as a part-time position. Yes, Morrison used to have one, a part-time position. Right when I came to town back in '09, that was short-lived. I can't give you a reason why it was short-lived, and but there's a great need. There's a lot of code enforcement that this officer could be doing, from building ordinances to zoning ordinances to property maintenance to anything that the police department might be enforcing outside of vehicle and traffic violations, so on and so forth, like no grass, that sort of thing. And if we consider, as I will bring up here in a moment, a draft ordinance on vacant buildings and vacant building registrations, and actually having some substance in our building codes, we're gonna need somebody to do that. That's a lot to ask of anyone in our current structure. So it's just an idea that we put out there. It would not be a police officer. It would be a code enforcement officer given authority by the city council. They would not have arrest powers. They would not be in a uniform. And they would have basically those responsibilities of any type of ordinance enforcement. The police department still have that authority to do as well, but this code enforcement would work with me and the chief. So it's just kind of planting that seed. So
Is the concept that the police department does not have the time to do this now, and that's why we're asking?
well, the police department has, yes and no. This is only a part of relevancy to the police department. They wouldn't be doing building codes or permits or to that nature. But some of the property maintenance they've been trying to do, but with, I'll call it more serious offenses and criminal activity and that kind of thing is probably more of a priority for them. Property maintenance, that sort of thing, is a little more administrative. So
Is that what you've
it could
been
be,
doing? Who's been doing that, the permitting since like say Lori left?
I haven't,
You have that,
yes. I've been doing all the permitting, the zoning,
so that would, this would take over your duties and that.
that would take that part. So, but that part's not necessarily as demanding right now because I have a pretty good handle on it, but if we get into the next two issues, and we need to spend more time on property maintenance, because there's a lot of properties in town that just take a lot of time and process to address. And I think the code enforcement officer is a great solution to that problem. They wouldn't make a wage that a police officer would. I don't want to say it's necessarily a trend, but a couple like communities to Morrison, like Savannah and Fulton, have done the same thing. Fulton has a full-time. They have a full-time administrative code enforcement officer, but Savannah has started it out as a part-time. So,
Would there be a relationship between that kind of officer and the police department in case there's
absolutely,
conflict with one of the?
absolutely.
So would a good person be a retired police officer?
Yeah. Yeah, or a retired building inspector, or there's a lot.
Well, you're not gonna find many
No.
retired building.
Maybe
I don't think out there.
You're right, you're right. They're probably still
Retired
doing it,
real
but
estate agent.
yeah, but yeah, a retired police officer would be a great option.
Are you thinking the enforcement would generate some money to go towards the salary?
Although we're not here to get revenue seeking at all, but yes, that is part of the process. There's permit fees, there's penalties of violations, and
So this would
you would certainly see more of that.
Some of the buildings that are vacant,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, that's the next issue.
Or the rooster that was running around.
Yeah, chicken.
Chickens.
And we had a
Yep.
rooster. There's a rooster in town that is unpenned.
Greg, your justifications here.
I
You've
have,
been waiting for this.
I have a permit, but not
You've been
for,
waiting for
not
this
for
for
roosters.
2 years.
You cannot have a rooster in
No,
city
you
limits.
can't.
So
That's
if-
against the ordinance that you passed.
That rooster just flew in.
Oh, okay,
It's a
okay.
comfort booster.
So if you have any thoughts, ideas, other input, please let me know. We're gonna kind of stay on this and, hopefully move it along if it seems like there's some support for it. I didn't want to get too deep into it if you guys are like, that's out of the question, so.
Very supportive.
We need to get deep into, get deep new woods now. Some of these are deep woods.
Okay. All right, we'll talk. All right, on your pages 56 to 69 is the draft ordinance on vacant buildings. Again, this is not an action item, but city proposes a tool to start to work with building owners who leave buildings vacant and they start to not be very attractive. Sorry, I'm restarting. I apologize. Would you wish to
Yes.
elaborate on that?
Yes, if you haven't already, please take some time to read through this. I would like to and intend to reach out to various property owners, business owners, realtors, et cetera, to get their feedback on this as well, although I understand from the Illinois Realtors Association that they are strong supporters of this type of program in municipalities. And basically what it does, it just keeps, the bottom line is here, it keeps property owners accountable of deteriorating and vacant or abandoned property. To kind of give you an idea how it would be ran is, so if you have a property that is vacant, you have to apply for a vacant building permit from the city, and let's just say it's $250. And so then we go through the process, we see, because in that application, they would be asked, what do you do with it now? Is it, what, is it inhabitable? Are you planning to sell it? Are you renovating? What is your plan? And so that's a one-time fee, once you have that permit. And then on top of that, you would then, as a property owner, if it was vacant, you would have a fee of, let's say, $1,000 annually if the property remains vacant and there is no plan. If you have a plan to renovate it, to rent it out, to actively sell it, then it's $50 a year. We're not in this to necessarily make a bunch of money, and that's just an example. That's kind of the language I went with in the draft ordinance, but basically it's motivation so our properties don't become stagnant and start to deteriorate, and we start to have problems with them. Or people just buy properties, leave them vacant, and they've never been in our town, and they're just doing it for tax purposes. We have that. We have some buildings in downtown that I don't think the owner's ever seen, let alone been here. But it just sits there idle for no reason. And basically, this would just develop some teeth to let these abandoned and vacant property owners know that we're watching and we're gonna hold them accountable. So,
Brian, I like the enforcement aspect of it and the holding accountable. I don't like the making somebody pay $250 to just set up a plan. I'd rather have the mechanisms of enforcement, but it seems like to make everybody who's got an empty building pay $250 just because the fact they have an empty building that might sit there for 3 months if they're You know, that just seems like, I don't know, that doesn't sit,
Well,
for whatever, it doesn't sit well for me to make anybody that has a vacant building, you're automatically paying $250. Even if you're gonna take care of it from that point on and never intended to not, and you were gonna rehab it, or you're gonna sell it or whatnot, it just seems like that's a lot of money to ask somebody everybody that has a vacant building to drop $250, just as an example.
Well,
Yeah.
and you can make the fee whatever you want, but we all know that money is the motivator, period. But the point is to get everybody to register is to be able to obtain the data, the information on the property owner, on the specific property owner and what their future plan is. It's not necessarily to charge them money.
Yeah.
But, you know, government isn't free.
They'd be
It's
less
services.
likely to register it if it's $250 than if it was $50.
Well,
I would-
They're
yeah,
trying to avoid it if it's $250.
Well, we'll find them.
When, yeah,
We'll get them. That's what the SCOTA.
It's all tied in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
It's for the betterment of the community.
Money, they'll never tell you what's going on.
So if by that, should we just charge 1,000 then?
Yes,
1,000 for anybody that has a building sitting empty ever?
vacant building, what are you doing?
How do you define a vacant building? 1
There's-
month?
Read,
I
So
know, I'm just
that-
asking.
please
I'm
read
asking.
the ordinance
I-
before you start asking these, because all those answers are in that ordinance. That's all you have to
This
do
is
is
a
read
draft,
it
this
and
is a
review it.
draft ordinance.
Correct.
We're having a
Draft ordinance.
conversation. We're having a conversation.
Yeah, but you're asking questions that are in the ordinance. There's a
The
time
250
frame. The vacancy, it's gotta be vacant for so long, and vacant is different than unoccupied.
so you have more homework.
So it's just for how long? But it's.
It's in the draft.
Don't-
90
well,
days,
If
90
you don't
days.
know, then why am I getting ripped on for, because I've. read it
Okay, so
90 days.
go, let's.
I think it's like
slow
90
down.
days.
Nobody's ripping on anybody.
There's 3 houses. in
$50.
there.
I agree.
I
I
just pay
agree.
$50 every year, say that.
So
I agree with the concept.
I would,
I'm not
add good,
arguing
okay,
it.
so then the idea is to please read the ordinance. If you don't like the definitions in there, we'll propose the ordinance and you can amend it. But the idea is there are vacant buildings in Morrison, and you see the comments on Facebook where people are like, Morrison's this shoddy little town. Well, council, do something. If this isn't your preferred venue, then come up with something else, but this is a proposal. Again, more homework, read it. If we ask for action on it, amend it. And as some, other towns have similar, this wasn't crafted out of the ether. It's based on existing statutes in other towns and other states. Take a look at it.
Yeah, one of the big
And
things.
just-
Wait,
it's like
no,
90
no
days.
snide
Yeah.
corner comments.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
We will conduct this meeting in order. Alderman Zeideman?
Yeah, this strategic plan, one of the big things was this town is going backwards, the way it looks, and it is. One of the biggest complaints I get is how some of these places look.
Just have a survey.
Isn't that one of the reasons why people use buildings like this for tax purposes? Because it's free for them to do it.
Yeah, I'm no expert in that area. I think you're onto something. So please read the ordinance. We would propose action on it. Think of, if you're for it or against it. If you're for it, but it needs some changes, you make amendments.
I just put this out there for conversation, for consideration. I thought it was a good idea. I've been to some, in my short-lived time as city administrator, I've been to some trainings that this has come up. I've heard both pros and cons, and it's worth considering. Just plain and simple. If you don't like it, this is a democracy,
Get it on the agenda.
So.
Yeah.
Appreciate your comment. Similarly, international codes. Again. We have a municipal code that's pretty thin. It would default to the state probably. And this is an idea to adopt both building and electrical.
Building, electrical, plumbing.
Okay.
And property maintenance. We already have property. Back, I believe in 17, we, the council approved that 2018 edition of the Property Maintenance International Code. International Code is just essentially, it's pretty detailed, but it's essentially like a baseline for municipalities and code for construction purposes, building, electrical, plumbing, property maintenance. And I get the question a lot, especially recently from people interested in renovating, building, etc. Even going back to Tractor Supply, and they're like, what's your building code? And that's my response. I chuckle and said, it's like the mayor said, very thin. And so then it's at some date, I believe it might be next year sometime, I can't remember, but basically the state's gonna, for lack of better terms, the state's gonna take over. And their board, their construction, what's the exact term? I don't have it in front of me, is essentially going to, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but basically try to enforce the state code in these small towns that don't have their own codes. And so we have to now report any changes we make to this construction commission of the state on whether or not we have these codes. So they are collecting data now to determine what places they have to go watch and not. It all boils down to just to basic safety for those that that occupy these buildings, to just ensure there's no shortcutting, unsafe wiring. I've been in some apartments in this town that I wouldn't let my dog live in, let alone myself or human. And that's because there are, with all due respect or not, that there are property owners that aren't interested in that. They're just interested in rent money. And they don't want to do the upgrades that are necessary for it to be a habitable and safe place. And so as a council, right. So, but we don't even have the authority ourselves to enforce the international code because we have to adopt it. So that in short is why this is on here. So I had asked our legal counsel to draft an ordinance to amend what we currently have and to adopt the other three codes that we do not have.
Please read that, more homework, sorry.
And if you can't sleep at night, trust me, this one will put you to
Better
sleep,
than melatonin.
unless you like that sort of thing. So,
Can you display the plans for the Public Works building?
I can. Let me get to it. Go too far, so
82.
let's throw it pretty quick. Okay. After a little bit of work with McLeod and Associates and input from our mainly street department and Mike Garland, and looking over the building, this is kind of a draft of what we would like, a plan of where we would like to start with the Public Works building. It essentially, right now, there's 2 bathrooms. There's a stairway between there and an office where, I can't see my cursor up here, but up here in the upper left corner, it shows lockers. This is the one office area. And then right here where this lavatory is and the door is actually where the stairs currently are that go upstairs to the parks room. And then there's, in this area down in the left corner, there's kind of a bathroom back to back there. And then this is all, if you've ever been in their office space and desk space. What we're going for here is a meeting room and a break room for Public Works. We can do training from this room. There's not a lot of build out in this room. It's essentially just running some cables and some drywall and new flooring and furniture. This area over here is all where the work is. This door at the top goes out into the old Hunter shop. You would walk in this door. Our idea is to put 2 workstations here for training with a computer for the public work guys, because they have to do annual training on a regular basis for, occupational safety and those types of trainings. And then going down the middle here, we put a small kitchenette with just a sink, a countertop, some cabinets, and a refrigerator. And then this would just be open space and into the larger break room. In the bathroom, of course, the bathroom has to be ADA compliant. So we kind of took one bathroom away and to make sure that it's non-gender specific, the bathroom will lock itself in case that is necessary. A shower is a great idea just for occupant safety in case they get into something and somebody needs to take a shower. And then having locker space for that very purpose as well. And then just for logistic wise out in the shop, we thought we'd keep this a little open here for just basically a wash sink for whatever reason that might be going out here. And then just a stand-up urinal for those that do it on their feet, so to speak. We tried to keep this simple, keep the cost down. Our biggest concern right now that we're still trying to get an answer to is that this is all in-floor heat. And we want to be very careful with that. We're hoping that this section is a separate zone. Beeve couldn't even tell us that, so we have to go back. We're trying to track down Ed. I can't think of his last name right now. Starts with a C.
Carvelis.
Yeah, thank you, Carvelis. That he did all this, and I just haven't got the answer yet because I haven't had put a lot of effort into it, to be quite honest, yet.
That whole building is in floor heating,
Yeah, oh yeah, we know
so
that,
you don't want to do anything below ground.
right? But if it's in zones and this area is a separate zone, then that's gonna be a great idea. If it's not, then we have to make but we have to make some changes because we're not gonna get into the floor, because we're not losing that.
Right.
Period. So,
Run it from all of above.
right. So they know that, but we're trying to keep it simple, but yet this is a long time coming and absolutely needs to be done. So this is the process we're in. If you have any ideas, please share them, but I hope at the next meeting or so that we can approve the plan so we can get it out to bid once we have our answers. So I hope to finally get going on this. But again, this is just for your information.
Do we have a guesstimate of cost?
No, because we want to get the plan down first to see,
And then bid it out.
and then go from there. I mean, once we could tell McLeod and Associates that this is what we like and this is the plan, then they'll put cost estimates together. Then we might say, oh, well, let's tweak this, let's do that, depending where it's at. So.
No, that's okay.
No, this is,
We're
it's
not
both
gonna
wrong.
really cut much out of anything.
No,
I can see.
yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty basic.
Not moving walls or anything else.
We're moving a wall or two because what we're ending,
Okay,
actually what we're gonna do is that stairway that was right in the middle that goes to the parts room upstairs.
ah,
We're either gonna put some kind of access, external stairs along the one side, or some kind of pull down like attic ladder.
sure.
That's appropriate, but we don't use that space a lot up there, but, you don't wanna give it up either. So we might just put some stairs on the outside of the wall there.
commercial building, I bet you can't put a pull down.
Yeah, that's what I'm, right, and it wouldn't do, the space up there wouldn't be much good with a pull down anyway, so.
So later on, do we need to vote on this for you to get bids,
And then-
or can we just say, you can find out about the in-for heat, and if that's fine?
Yeah, right.
Give you the go ahead now.
Well, you can't vote on it.
This is
We have to
not for
vote on
action,
this,
no.
That's what I'm asking.
Or just-
Yeah, I think you guys, I think it's necessary for this council to approve that plan. So, okay,
All right.
that's all I had.
So ideas, thoughts, come to City Hall, scribble something. Give a call, whatever. Hillendale Drive, again, yeah, that's come up, property owners. And we have determined, thank you, that it is private at the end, and there is, now it's, it has been determined, you've got that satellite picture, the last 3 lots, like from number 11, maybe, to the left, that is in fact private.
That loop,
City has been in the habit of plowing it. It's our understanding that at some point, the 3 or 4 houses along Lincoln Way, and their neighbors behind, I think, got together and paid for a pulverizing and re-graveling, but that's it. It's private. And so the question is, would the city wish to, word isn't condemn, but take it over?
well, they say it's private because, but they can't, no one can say.
You can't
who
prove who owns it,
Because
yeah.
it's parceled off. But it is not public property thereby owned by the city per se. Because you see it, it's a loop, it wraps around, but
Will their taxes change?
I doubt it
Do we
because,
get any more tax money if we take it over?
no, because their argument is they're already paying the taxes, so why aren't we maintaining the drive? And,
They're wanting us to pave it or something.
well, the new owner, Aaron Brooks of the Dunnigan property, wishes to have that discussion.
Right.
Because he wants to change his address to Hillendale, and he would like that to be a public road.
Where's he? What number is he?
He would be right where it says Part 12,
Part 12, that,
far left in the middle.
we'd call that Hintz Mansion?
I wish I had a little laser to point it at.
Oh, PL or PT 12?
Yes, yeah.
That's his property. And back in 04, 05, the council did enter an agreement with all those property owners to snowplow and snowplow only.
So I take it none of them have been paying something to their neighborhood to maintain the
No,
road.
it's not an association or anything.
It's
It's,
no different. When I lived out in Timber Lane, there was no association, but we all pitched in money to maintain Timber Lane.
right. But here, there's not, we do have easement, we have utility easements that go back to those properties. But again, no one is, it's basically private property that nobody owns. So I guess over the years, they've just kind of divvied up and said, we all share in this property.
And it's been that way for 100 years apparently, right? Because the Dunnigan house is gonna be 100 years ago. or 90.
So I'm just bringing it to your attention that you might hear about this again in the future. I don't know what the rest of the residents in this area, how they feel. I know John Vanderleest, which lives right on the Y. I've had several conversations with him. He's concerned with the road and the condition of the road, and
So what's the title say on the properties then?
their parcels are divvied out there, that don't
To the
include.
road, to the middle of the road?
No,
Or is that
no,
road, just up to
no,
the
the
road?
lines are what they are. It does not show that they own to the middle of the road.
Except this one in the middle. Next to 11, you see how that rectangle goes
There's
up
a
to,
little, yeah,
if you've got it in front of you. yeah.
right. I wish I could show you that one. Yeah, the one right in the middle. I can't.
Okay, yeah, you're, there you go.
This property here, you see my.
Yeah, and then see how that line goes
This
right to the middle of the
property goes To
road.
the middle of the road. He's the only one that owns, he or she, is the only one that owns any portion of Hillendale here. The rest of this, the parcels are bordered, do not include Hillendale Drive or Court.
It's a good point, so. nobody owns it.
Well, they gotta get the car to the front of the road, which they can't do,
Right,
because they don't have a road.
right.
They don't have anything.
And the city somehow received the services from HB Wilkinson back in 08 or 09. And they went and made a list of what roads are private and public, and they determined that this was private, but could not identify the owner.
So like how that, their findings from HB Wilkinson has like Carolee Lane private. So
Yeah.
do we not plow for them?
Well, that gets into a whole nother can of worms, Matt. There are some private drives that we do maintain
Some that don't.
and some we don't. So that's why we have a grocery list. I have it on a spreadsheet now, Alderman Tickler, on those properties to keep track of what we do and what we don't do on them. So it gets complicated because some of the stuff has just been that way forever. That's just the excuse.
And I was at the meeting in 05, because I lived in Hillendale Drive, but that was primarily, one of the reasons that we requested the plow was because I couldn't get out of my driveway at times. It was just so deep where rear-wheel drive squad cars. So we just asked, and then we had a big meeting up there with all our CA boys and all of our Cs, but we agreed if they damage something or whatever, the road could get damaged at that point. And, that was kind of the tentative agreement, that they would at least plow and get it the thoroughfare, because the condos didn't like us going down the drain.
Oh, sure.
But that was it. They didn't want to mess with it. It would, I had asked numerous times about that the road was supposed to go all the way around. They built that subdivision. It didn't, obviously, the grassy area,
Mm-hmm.
because I would maintain it and nobody could ever tell me.
But now it's important to have because of emergency services
Yeah.
and I'm sure we'll hear probably more from Deerview in the process too, because like the chief just said, they have an issue with the through traffic from Hillendale to Deerview Lane. So please stay tuned.
Great. I have a question for Reed. When you bought the house, how was it proposed to you when you bought that property as far as the road?
Private, Mr. I bought it from Mark Olson.
Oh, yeah.
He was the
So what did
but
he
told
say?
me, his family told us it was a private drive, private lane.
Well, how do they say for like snow plowing and maintenance and stuff like that?
That it was on us type of thing. So, no, and, which we did as best we could, and I was plowing, and then I would go down to Deerview. And it became an issue to them.
Right.
So I proposed it to City Administrator Woif to talk to him about it, because I didn't want to upset the condos also. So, and so we had the meeting, we just signed into an agreement. It really wasn't much plowing.
Right.
But other than that, they didn't want to touch the water, sewage. It was a nightmare underneath.
I get the concept of, I know we need to be consistent, it's not across the town, but I get the concept of paying taxes to the city, to the schools, to the hospital, to this building. I get the concept of providing a road for them to get in and out of their house if they live downtown. I get that. I'm not saying it's something we should necessarily take on, but I understand the ask.
I just brought this to your attention because it'll come up again in the near future.
Well, if we fix that one, we got about a dozen more here. that we have
According to
do.
that letter, yes.
That would be a
Yeah, I would take advantage
That
of
would be
that.
several years of our road maintenance projects.
Yeah, it's a can of worms.
Get that
Yeah.
too.
Certainly
Yeah, we need
is.
to open.
I'm not advocating either way. I'm just bringing this to your attention. Personally, I'd rather give roads away than take on more. So. Because we have
Yeah,
enough to do.
we took on a few roads we shouldn't,
Yeah, so,
big roads,
so
not us, but
in the
before.
past, yeah,
Mm,
so,
So one of these is gonna come up next summer on what big project's gonna be done. That's good.
sure. So, please stay tuned to that.
And finally, the 1% grocery sales tax that the state collects will expire on January 1, 2026. There is a way for us to replace the revenue, our little share of that revenue, by implementing our own grocery sales tax. We haven't quantified that yet, right? How much we get from that 1%?
It's, as I said in my notes, it's even, Illinois Department of Revenue will tell you it's near really impossible to determine exactly how much it is. It's roughly 15 to 20% of our sales tax, if you look at it that way, because the grocery tax is 1% of that 6.25%. But it's only on certain items. So you can't just arbitrarily say it's, 15.67% of the sales tax revenue that we get because people buy different things that may or may not be.
So is
Grocery
this
tax.
Not just on grocery?
It's just on grocery items, but grocery items has a definition.
So it would be an odd item that you wouldn't know.
It'd be an item that's not like medicine or,
Yeah, well, I know, so,
Laundry
yeah, you're paying that, but
Right.
other than going to Sullivan's, are you paying that anywhere else in town?
everywhere. You
Dollar
get your
General.
car fixed at Kunis Chevrolet, you don't have sales tax on the labor, but you're paying sales tax on that oil filter, those brake pads, that,
Pays for the road, speaking of.
that sort of thing.
Even though it's labeled grocery, it's bigger than that.
Well, sales tax is
It's
more
smaller
than
than that.
just grocery tax.
So, but that states that the grocery tax is going away. That's
It
why-
is.
Correct.
So we're gonna lose that 1%.
Correct, that's why I was asking, if people ask the grocery taxes, so
Yeah.
is it to keep, like Cunis, if you go out there, no.
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 There's not, there's nothing.
Unless they're
that,
selling food, yeah, but.
Yeah,
they're
there's
not.
nothing
Well,
that.
that's why I asked, I
Kunis-
said, other than Sullivan's, where else would that be
Do-
applied?
Dollar
Casey's-
General.
Casey's, Dollar General,
Okay.
every, Fitzgerald's,
Yeah, if you sell a candy bar,
Convenience stores.
yeah,
So we pay sales tax at our business. Food, is not taxed. Prepared food is. Sullivan's has all kinds of prepared food. They've got other sundry items that are sold. in this room, but you're not gonna pay the tax on steak, not full steak. But you will pay, I think, sales tax on stuff coming out of the bakery or out of there. But other, what's that, the deli? or
The deli, yeah.
So, I think keep that.
it's, yeah, there's,
There's some things you pay the full sales tax, there's some things you only pay the 1%, right?
correct.
And it's only that 1% that we're dealing.
right, and it's
Like
about,
at our place, internal drugs are 1%. Get any of the other external drugs are that full 6 point, whatever.
So the rubs, okay.
It's really complicated.
It's 8.2.
and the best I could come up with the initial I did, it's about 80 to 100,000 a year to us. And so I'm just getting it out there now. We have plenty of time. We really can't do anything before April, but we definitely need to do something before October 1st of next year. But I'm sure you will see, I would go to the further stretch of most municipalities in the state will keep this on, because I can't imagine them wanting to give this up. I would,
Won't be
Yeah.
big bucks to big cents.
yeah, it would.
Sterling would probably really,
And it's
Correct.
not, it will not be to, I mean, if you want to, you can, but it's not to increase the tax. It would essentially keep what we had. We're not adding a new tax, well, we are adding a new
You can
tax.
allocate that
but we'll
anywhere you
replace
want.
But yeah, if 1% goes away and we enact 0.25.
Yeah,
which is
you
what-
can do
what-
less than.
what we-
Streets,
If we figure out how that's how it goes, and you can change it.
he
year
wants
year
to know what the allocation would be.
100%.
No.
Streets, would it
Does
be
it have,
for
you have to
streets?
put it
Oh.
in a certain spot or you can put it anywhere?
No, that's general,
Just general.
general sales
fund,
tax.
or
revenue.
if the council decides to enact a food grocery tax, you can allocate it.
Yeah,
That would be in the ordinance. But as of right now, it's general fund, correct?
I think right now, we don't have that 1%.
we do. It's part of
We
this,
don't
it's part of the
The
six
state
point two
collects
five.
1% and we get our share of
I
that.
thought he did away with that January.
That's what this all is, Harvey. So he's doing away with it, so we get to redo it if we
26.
want.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
take effect till January 26th.
Yes, but I don't think we have it right now.
We do.
We do.
We do?
It's part of the 6.25% sales tax.
I thought that was taken care of. I thought he did away with that. That's why he wants to do away with it now. He did away with it once.
It went away during COVID, yeah, but it
So
came
it came
back.
back on?
I think it came
That was
back.
a temporary,
Yeah, good point. I
Yeah,
think
I
it
know
came
it's
back.
temporary. Okay.
now he wants to get rid of it for good.
We went without it for some time,
For,
I don't
yeah,
know, couple
pandemic,
of
yeah.
years.
Good point. We'll look
Yeah,
that
I
up.
don't think it was even that long.
We'll look that up. Yes,
I wanted to quick thing before you wrap up. We're having a new business opening in town pretty quick. I've talked to them. And then twofold, that we have some people that are extending parking on Main Street. Fitzgerald's and a couple across the street, we have a brown Corvette and a blue Jeep that the Corvette literally was parked all weekend on Main Street. And we're doing some construction and with the new business opening, I know we have 2 hour parking, I don't know.
You do it for them, you gotta do it for everybody, because there's
I know.
a lot of other business owners
I
on
know,
Main
but-
Street that sit there all day too.
I know, but
Yeah.
we somehow,
I was told in 2004 that I could not mark tires.
And we played that game for a while.
somehow. it's
Yeah,
got-
that was the only way,
And we changed.
so
the
I had
ordinance.
no recourse to figure out how long they've been there. What was happening was they were, back then, they were just moving a slot.
Just playing the game.
Better hire another person if you want.
So we raised the fine up.
I'm right.
A meter maid.
Oh, no, yeah.
Bring back the meters.
So we could, I mean, we can, you know,
That Corvette, that brown Corvette that sits on Main Street.
Well,
Sounds like you're
that's what we
jealous.
get for allowing overnight parking on Main Street.
we're not doing that now.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
I'm
We are
that's
not
what we
doing
get.
that now.
We get people living in the upstairs, which is a good thing.
Yeah. But my driveway is longer than some of those people walking out of apartments. So,
All right.
They're not transit.
and so is Alderman Cruz's. So.
Yes, long.
He needs them.
Oh, boy.
At this point, a motion to adjourn is in order. Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I declare at 7:48 PM, we are adjourned.